Check, mic check.
Pocketful of dinero beats. Perfect. Welcome.
Hope everybody doing good. Hope y'all can hear me clear. Make sure when y'all come in, hit the like button. Just playing some music, chatting, you know.
Pocketful of dinero beats. Perfect.
Man, it's been a minute since I've been on, y'all. A lot of things going on. But just blessed to see another day. Thank God. I'm out here trying to slay demons and dragons. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, we everybody out here. Salute me y'all for slaying them too. you hearing now is my new stuff I've been working on the past few months, past few years and stuff. It's a lot more. Deciding if I'm going to release it or not. Release it. It's a lot I'm thinking about.
Perfect.
And before I go to the next song, I like to thank my subscribers and everybody for still rocking with me over the past few years. The people I've done business with, people that genuinely mess with me. I appreciate y'all, no doubt. I hope everything good with everybody, y'all. Let's go ahead and spin the next track.
Pocket full of dinero beats. Pocketful of Dinero Beats.
Leadership is only. I don't want to feel it. Leadership is only. Leadership is only.
Let me know what y'all think.
Pocketful of Dinero Beats.
I don't know. I thought about playing some videos, some current topics, get my opinion on it. I know y'all haven't heard my opinion on the OG subscribers, so I don't have no like mic on me right now. Everything on the laptop right now, so making do what it do.
Pocket full of dinero beats. Yep.
Welcome. Make sure y'all hit that like button on y'all way in. It's your boy Pocket Full, yeah, with the narrow beat. And again, I don't have no good mic on me right now, so bear with me. You can't hear me, my bad, but salute to y'all anyway. Yo, this about to be Glenn Beck talking about Google's quantum chip. I don't know. I just want to hear y'all thoughts on it, so I'm about to play it in a second. Um, he said this about a couple of months ago, and its capabilities and excuse me, a plane going by. But yeah, he was just talking about it. So hopefully y'all hear me, and hopefully y'all can hear this. I'm about to play the video now. For some reason, it's not playing the audio. Y'all bear with me. Sorry.
just refresh your memory where we were on Monday. Where we were on Monday with Willow, which is a new computer chip from Google that they just tested with the new quantum computer. 2 years ago, we talked about quantum computing because it could process 54 what are called qubits. That was astonishing at the time. And I read article after article. Once you get over 100, it's going to be like, you won't believe what this can do. And we're at the very beginning. 2 years ago, we were at 54. We're at 105 qubits. A qubit is a way to open up, I don't even know how to explain it, the universe, and test a theory and search for all answers at the same time. So right now, we have to think linearly. We have to think, okay, 2 plus 2 is 1? No. 2 plus 2 is 2? No. 2 plus 2 is 3? No. 2 plus 2 is 4? Yes. Okay? So it's ones and zeros. It's either a yes or a no. Doesn't have to be, but that we don't have to go into that. Yes or no. And it tests all of them vertically instead of linearly. Got it? So it can come up with answers like nobody's business. And it works with quantum physics, which quantum physics, everything breaks down with quantum physics. Einstein said God doesn't play dice. Well, if quantum physics is true, perhaps he does a little bit. Because what they're finding now, especially since Monday, is one thing. First, they can solve the most complex problem that we have ever tried to solve. I don't even know what it is. I'd like to ask that question. But it took this new quantum...
Like Ant-Man. It breaks all the way down to Ant-Man's realm, and all possibilities being true in a sense. Like the slit experiment, Schrodinger's cat, things like that.
computer 5 minutes to solve a problem that would have taken our best supercomputer 10 septillion years to solve it. Go through it's million, billion,
trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, septillion.
Okay, that's a lot. In fact, they describe it as vastly more than the age of the entire universe.
Quite an understatement there.
Yeah. How old is the universe, they think?
The accepted one is 13.8 billion years.
Okay, 13.8 billion years. This is 10 septillion years would have taken to solve this problem with our best supercomputer. I would like to ask the question, what was the question, and what is the answer? And how do you know it's right? All right, so now, that happened on Monday. They announced that on Monday. Now, the guy who's the head of Willow, the guy who's in charge, he's the founder and the leader of the Google Quantum AI team. He's a physicist. He said the result, the high-speed result, lends, I'm quoting, credence to the notion that quantum computation occurs in many parallel universes. So, I mean, you have to almost go to Marvel to understand. It's as if when they put a question in, all the Spider-Man movies are stacked up on top of each other. You know what I mean? Not the Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 with the same actor. He's in one universe, but all the other ones with different actors, they're all happening at the same time. Okay? That's what it means for parallel universe. And he says it shows that that's where the quantum computing is happening. It's actually opening up and going into other universes. It's fascinating. Do you want to hear why they think that, Stu?
Sure.
It's a nerd. It's very nerdy.
Okay.
But it's really cool.
All right.
Okay, so you know what a neutron and an electron does, right? Mm-hmm. What does an electron do? When you're talking the atomic scale, electron, it circles, okay?
Yeah.
And it circles the neutron. And the neutron, the reason why the electron circles it is it acts as a force to keep the neutron in place. Mm-hmm. Without the electron, it just like explodes and goes away, okay?
Okay.
So you have to have the electron going around it to keep.
I don't know how y'all feel about that. Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna keep playing the video, but when things like that, bro, like I kind of believe in a sense, maybe not as literal as science probably put it, but to an extent, like alternate universes, but not so much sci-fi, but like fork in the road, like you probably took the other path instead of the path that you took in another universe type of thing.
keep the neutron in place. The reason why they first came up with quantum physics is the electron, when you observe it, it disappears. No, when you observe it, it's there. When you don't observe it, it's there and then not there. There and not there. There and not there. There and not there. And so it keeps going. It just disappears.
How do you know that?
The energy. It's one or the other if you observe or not. I can't remember which, been years. But the energy goes full, nothing, full, nothing, full, nothing. In those nothing areas, the neutron should dissipate, okay? What they thought, this is the theory, is that it's actually slipping into several different universes as it's going around to hold that neutron in place in all these different universes.
What?
Okay? Crazy.
This is really what they think.
Yeah, that's really what they
incredible.
think. So that was the theory. So he's now saying, yep, this proves that that theory is where we're doing the computations in all these different universes. Now, the problem is, over the weekend, there was a massive nerd fight. And another guy who is an astrophysicist, Ethan Siegel, he says, that's ridiculous. And the Google guy should know. And he says it has nothing to do with it, blah, blah, blah. So there's a nerd fight on the, he said, parallel universe and multiverse are very different. Now, I don't even think Marvel can explain the difference. I have no idea. But that's the level of the nerd fight we're in. However, here's what's really cool is at 54 qubits, okay, so about
My thing is, what's the difference? Parallel. Okay, the difference is like okay, kind of what I just said. The difference is like the fork in the road is parallel, like they parallel to each other. So it's they parallel, like it's the same maybe path, but you got on a different color shirt. Multiple universes is like all possibilities. Like you got a rich you got a broke you got a this, you got a this you, like all possibilities of one person. You got a universe where you don't exist, all this shit. So yeah, hopefully you heard me.
half of what we have now. And don't ask me how this happened. I have no idea. They opened some, a molecule, and they could measure it here. And when it was turned on or whatever, I have no idea. I'm sorry for everybody who is really past an 8th grade education. I apologize here to your head's going to hurt. But they opened it somehow or another, and they were observing it in like Silicon Valley or wherever this is. And then they opened the same one. It appeared in London. And they verified that the changes they made in Silicon Valley were happening it's the same molecule, and it was happening at the same time someplace else.
What?
Isn't that nuts?
Yes.
They thought that time at 54 qubits, they thought that's going to lead us to the discovery of how to travel without airplanes and everything else.
Like instantaneous
travel. That would be incredible.
Yes.
Okay. So all of these things are coming up. Now listen to this. What they say is, this is such big news because we're going to be able to solve some of the biggest problems. Okay, I want to know what the first question. Are you interested in what the first question was?
Sure.
I took that. Okay, I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's just mathematical, but I have no idea what it was. I'd like to know. And do you think these are our biggest problems? When you have the most powerful, they're saying it will tell us how to make batteries better. That's what we're going for? We're going for how batteries can be made better? They said also it could further humanity by curing some diseases.
Okay.
Some diseases?
It could be big. Could be maybe.
Yeah, I think that might be an understatement. I mean, you're opening all this up and you're like, yep, we're going to be able to drive for 400 miles, maybe as much as 700 miles. Come on. Come on. There's got to be something bigger than that. Okay. So anyway, as all of this is happening and makes no sense to anybody, I think all of the scientists are even bluffing. They don't know what they're talking. It makes no sense. Let me give you this story. New sales data from BookScan shows that Bible sales have increased 22% through October of this year compared to the same period last year. I don't know if you know this, Bible sales have been going down for maybe about 100 years. Went up 22% this year. In the first 10 months of the year, Americans purchased 13.7 million Bibles, which Bibles now are on track to surpass last year's 14.2 million. Here's why it matters. Over the same period of time, print book sales increased less than 1%. So you can get it online. People are actually going out and buying paper Bibles for their house and their family. at unheard of rates when everywhere else the Bible is going down. Why is that happening?
Y'all let me know what y'all think about that video. About to shoot you down real quick. Make sure y'all hit that like button on your way in. I appreciate that for real. For real, y'all. Gotta find my mic. I gotta do a lot of things. I have been streaming, just making music, popping in and out of the internet, just trying to better myself, y'all. So just researching, reading, things like that.
In the world of watch enthusiasts, there can be a bit of snobbery that says mechanical watches are far superior to battery-powered watches. And I can understand why. Like, you've got these objects that are really intricate, really precise, really small, and yet entirely mechanical. That's amazing. Like, that's a really desirable object. But when you find out how the mechanism inside a battery-powered quartz watch works, it becomes equally desirable, or at least it did for me. And it's probably the next watch that I'll get once my Pebble.
And that's why I wanted to play this video for y'all. Like I be wanting to like put together videos of like things that I be thinking, and then like a YouTube video, the algorithm like will pop up of what I'm thinking, like how time works, how like music time, a lot of things like watches, like a lot of things, quartz, like certain materials and things that we use, um, give off certain energies and frequencies. And I don't know, just I think it all correlates together. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but check it out.
The pendulum is replaced with an oscillating mass on a spring, a bit like this. Except that this arrangement isn't much better than the pendulum. It still relies on gravity and it's going to swing around on a ship. So instead, you use a coiled spring and a rotating mass. The rotating mass repeatedly winds up and unwinds the coiled spring, like this. That balance wheel mechanism is the basis of most mechanical watches, and it can be incredibly accurate.
Mechanisms and things like how they function at like a small
A
level,
battery-powered watch
like
can
it's so
easily be
intricate.
way more accurate than that.
It's
And you
crazy.
can achieve that feat with a tiny tuning fork. So a grandfather clock uses a pendulum with a known period of oscillation, a mechanical watch uses a mass on a spring with a known period of oscillation, and a battery-powered watch uses a tuning fork with a known period of oscillation. This particular tuning fork oscillates 440 times per second, which is an audible frequency, otherwise known as A above middle C. There it is. You may already have spotted a problem with using a tuning fork to keep time, which is that, well, you whack it to get it to vibrate, but then the vibration slowly dies down until it's not vibrating anymore. So how do you keep it vibrating? And also, how do you turn that vibration into the ticking of a clock? Actually, both of those problems can be solved with an electromagnet. Consider this simplified tuning fork. I don't know if you can call it a tuning fork. It's a metal ruler and a vise. But anyway, like a tuning fork, if you whack it, it will vibrate at its natural resonating frequency. Unlike a tuning fork, you can't hear it because the frequency is too low. But like a tuning fork, if you leave it for long enough, eventually the vibrations will die down to nothing. Eventually. That'll do, here's a bit left. But now look at this setup. I've got an electromagnet here. These are the wires going into the electromagnet. This one's connected to a 9-volt power supply, but this one's just not connected to anything. So the circuit's broken, the electromagnet has no power. But the other end of the power supply goes into the ruler. So if I were to touch this wire against the ruler, the circuit would be complete and the electromagnet would turn on. I've also attached a permanent magnet to the ruler that is repelled by the electromagnet when it's turned on. So what you can do is you can place the wire just next to the ruler so that when the ruler gets too close to the electromagnet, it completes the circuit and is repelled from the electromagnet. It's a bit like pushing someone on a swing. Every time they get too close to you, you push them away. You're not changing the resonating frequency of the person on the swing, you're just keeping it going. And we should be able to do that here. Let's have a look. As a bonus, the current in this circuit that keeps turning on and off at regular intervals can also be used to regulate the ticking of the clock. A more sophisticated and miniaturized version of this setup can actually be found in watches manufactured between about 1940 and 1960.
Certain things like that, maybe.
360 times per second. So if you put the watch against your ear, you would hear this sound, which is nice. The real revolution came with the discovery of piezoelectricity. I explained the piezoelectric effect in my last video and why it arises in certain crystals. The quick summary here, if you take a crystal of quartz and you cut it in just the right way and then deform the crystal by like hitting it, for example, then you'll measure a voltage across the crystal. And conversely, if you apply a voltage across the crystal, then the crystal will deform. So if you look inside a digital watch or an analog watch that's battery powered or the back of a battery powered wall clock, you will find this component. And if you take off the protective outer case, there it is, a crystal of quartz, of course, in the shape of a tuning fork. If I flick this crystal, it will sing like a tuning fork, except that you won't be able to hear it because the frequency is too high for our ears. But because it's piezoelectric, it doesn't just produce this inaudible sound, it also produces a detectable oscillating voltage. This is a USB oscilloscope, so what you're seeing here is the voltage detected across the probes, and I've connected the quartz tuning fork to the probes, so at the moment there's nothing going on, but look, if I flick it, you see that wave pattern? So that's the voltage across the probes going up and down, because the piezoelectric crystal is flexing back and forth, so the voltage it produces is going up and down. We could take a screenshot and then try and work out what the frequency is, or we can switch to frequency view, where the scope is actually going to show us the frequencies. So now if I flick it, see that spike that appears? I've just put a little dashed line at 32.7 kilohertz, and look, when I flick it, that's exactly where the spike appears. Just like a tune.
See, like I was just referring to with the metronome, like the frequencies and everything, like how I correlate.
Natural resonating frequency. Here's the quartz crystal back in situ in that feedback amplification circuit, and look, here's that to frequency view, where the scope is actually going to show us the frequencies. So now if I flick it, see that spike that appears? I've just put a little dashed line at 32.7 kilohertz, and look, when I flick it, that's exactly where the spike appears. Just like a tuning fork, the vibration is short-lived, and you need to find a way to keep it going like we did with the electromagnet. But with a piezoelectric tuning fork, you can do something really clever. You take the voltage coming off the tuning fork, that oscillating voltage, you run it through an amplifier, and then you feed it back into the tuning fork. And that's how you keep the tuning fork vibrating at its own natural resonating frequency. Here's the quartz crystal back in situ in that feedback amplification circuit. And look, here's that permanent spike now at 32.7 kilohertz. That measurement of 32.7 kilohertz is only accurate to one decimal place. And I happen to know that the actual real value is 32.768 kilohertz, or in other words, 32,768 hertz. The quartz crystals are calibrated in the factory to be that exact frequency. So they add gold to the tips of the tuning fork and then just slowly shave little bits off until the frequency is exactly right. Well, if you know your powers of 2, then you might have spotted that it's 2 to the power 15. But why is it that exact number? There's actually a clever reason for it. Well, there's two really clever reasons. The first is it needs to be above 20,000 hertz, because that's about the limit of what people can hear. And you don't want an audible whine coming from your watch. So let's make it above 20,000 hertz. And 2 to the power 15 is the first power of 2 that's above 20,000. But why does it need to be a power of 2? This is where it gets really clever, because you can take an oscillating signal like that and you can pass it through a chain of flip-flops, and it will turn that 32,768 hertz signal into a 1 hertz signal, 1 blip per second. And you can use that 1 blip per second to tick the second hand of your clock. And when I say chain of flip-flops, what do I mean? Well, a flip-flop is just a little bit of logic circuitry. I'm not going to go into how a flip-flop can be built out of AND gates and OR gates and things like that, but just know that a flip-flop can hold a state. So you give it a signal and it turns on, and it will stay on until you send it another signal, and then it will turn off, and it will stay off until you send it another signal. So let's see what happens when we chain 15 of these flip-flops together. Let's just look at the first flip-flop in the chain to begin with. So remember, you've got this signal coming in from the quartz tuning fork, and that's a sine wave, but this is a digital device. It's a smart flip-flop, if you like. So this is expecting just on and off. There'll be some processing that takes that sine wave from the quartz crystal and turns it into a square wave like that. So you've either got on or off coming into this flip-flop. And the logic inside the flip-flop is arranged so that any signal that's coming in the on position, the flip-flop will flip as soon as the on signal turns off, right? So it's in the drop of the on signal, right? So here's the signal coming in, and as it drops, that's when it flips like that. Okay, and then the next signal comes in, and just as that signal cuts off, it flips again, right? And then the third signal comes in and it flips. The fourth signal comes in and it flips, right? So that's the off position, that's the on position of the flip-flop. And you'll notice that the flip-flop flips into the on position every second signal coming in. So like all the odd signals coming in, it flips to the on position. So if you look at the frequency at which this flip-flop turns on, it's half the frequency of the incoming signal. And here's the clever bit. You take the signal out of this flip-flop and you feed it into the next flip-flop in the chain, right? So this flip-flop flips on.
don't know. What's up? What y'all want to do? Shoot, the mic continue. I'm gonna play another video. How about that? No, we're gonna play another video. Let's do that. Fair use. Fair use.
Pocket full of dinero beats.
Welcome.
Seems like I wanted to. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. In the world of watch enthusiasts, there can be a bit of snobbery that says mechanical watches are
A brand new study which was just published looked at the contents of a certain medical procedure which shall not be named. And in this study, the authors claim to have found artificial nanostructures, which they refer to as self-assembling nanostructures, which look like this. Now, these were only found in the mRNA-containing ones, and the shapes range from crystals, filaments, spirals, all the way to nanotubes. They found that the shape of these changed over time and were particularly responsive to external electromagnetic fields. But before you get excited, there are some serious problems with this study. First up, there's no publicly available ORCID record for this researcher, so we don't know if she's published anything in the past and what training she has. Next, she's a gynecologist, and whilst that might not necessarily be a problem, we really want this study being done by molecular biologists who have the resources and the tools at their disposal to be able to make sure this was a valid study. Next up, the lab isn't registered from anywhere that I can see, and therefore we have no way of knowing that it's actually a sterile environment. What this means is that the things that we're looking at right here could simply be artifacts. With that in mind, whilst I'm not a scientist, I think we have to be very, very cautious about these results. But even if we discard the study as bunk, you might not know that there are numerous other accounts. We're talking like more than 40 or 50 individual accounts of scientists with genuine expertise in the field who found something very similar. They found and whilst that might not necessarily study. First up, there's no publicly available ORCID record for this researcher, so we don't know if she's published anything in the past and what training she has. Next, she's a gynecologist, and whilst that might not necessarily be a problem, we really want this study being done by molecular biologists who have the resources and the tools at their disposal to be able to make sure this was a valid study. Next up, the lab isn't registered from anywhere that I can see, and therefore we have no way of knowing that it's actually a sterile environment. What this means is that the things that we're looking at right here could simply be artifacts. With that in mind, whilst I'm not a scientist, I think we have to be very, very cautious about these results. But even if we discard the study as bunk, you might not know that there are numerous other accounts. We're talking like more than 40 or 50 individual accounts of scientists with genuine expertise in the field who found something very similar. They found 3D nanostructures in the shots, and some authors have speculated or said that they closely resemble carbon nanofibers and might be graphene oxide. Since graphene oxide was definitely not on the ingredients list, you might be wondering what the hell it was doing in there. And you might be amazed to hear what the science actually says about this. Let's just say that reality is much stranger than fiction these days. And if you don't believe me,
He ain't lying. Real. It's blending in. That's why I like everything blending in. Reality, science fiction, conspiracy theories, news, like all that stuff is blending in, especially with the internet. So, hey, take things for what they are and then take it for a grain of salt at the same time. That's what I'm saying.
just check this out. It turns out that scientists have been working with graphene oxide for a very long time, particularly in the context of micro and nano robots. Now, you might be wondering, what are micro and nano robots? Well, these are basically tiny little machines, pieces of technology. They're invisible to the naked eye, you cannot see this, but these things can be implanted into the body either by injection, inhalation, or even through the gut. Now, they can be programmed to
see if I can blow it up. Well, YouTube, my bad. Let me see if I can make the screen bigger. Without getting like copyright. That's why I got it in a certain queue. You know, 'cause I ain't trying to drop stuff. It's the I'm about to show y'all the content creators so y'all can go look at what's in the nanoparticles and stuff. This dude right there.
To achieve certain effects. This can be on organs, on tissues, or even specific cells. So for drug delivery, for altering gene expression, they have to be driven or powered by some kind of external energy source. This can be body heat, it can be UV light, but a lot of the research is looking at external magnetic fields to power these things. And they can be used as what are called biosensors, so they can receive information from external sources or from internal sources, and then they can transmit that information. Think of it a little bit like a chip or like a tiny Wi-Fi router, which is in the cells, and it can literally absorb radiation and transmit information to external sources as well. And on this topic, you can see from this paper, these researchers recently developed a remote-controlled probe which was able to target specific cells. And it just so happens that graphene oxide is one of the key materials that they use for these nano-type robots. The field of research is more widely known as nanorobotics. It forms the basis of what is now called the Internet of Bio-Nano Things. You think of this as essentially a form of transhumanism. The Internet of Bio-Nano Things is envisioned to be a heterogeneous network of nanoscale and biological devices, so-called bio-nano things, communicating via non-conventional means. So this is molecular communications in non-conventional environments, e.g. inside the human body. The main objective of this emerging networking framework is to enable direct and seamless interaction with biological systems for accurate sensing and control of their dynamics in real time. That means using nanorobots to control living systems, i.e. the human body. Okay? Of course, this new frontier of technology has been framed as a medical breakthrough which will revolutionize treatment of chronic disease. However, it's important to realize that this hasn't just garnered interest from within the medical field. In fact, the key players who are funding this research include the likes of DARPA and other military intelligence agencies. And when you hear what they want to use it for, well, that's where I'm going to end this video on this platform. Like I said, catch me on Rumble for the rest, and trust me, you do not want to miss this story.
Oscillators are a core electronics component that control the timing for devices ranging from your watch to your laptop and mobile phone processors to even controlling the display of the device that you're watching this video on. In a nutshell, oscillators can generate AC voltage signals from a simple DC voltage source. That means they can create AC voltage graphs that look like this from a very simple and boring DC voltage graph. In this video, we learn about how oscillators work, the different terminology associated with oscillators, and also the different types and use cases for oscillators. Now, before we dive into oscillators, we must learn about this one term called frequency. A wave frequency refers to how often a wave completes one full wavelength or one wave cycle within a set time frame. A higher frequency wave signal looks something like this, with more wave cycles fit inside this voltage versus time graph with a very short peak-to-peak distance. Meanwhile, a lower wave frequency looks more stretched out, something like this, and can fit less wave cycles in the same duration of time in this voltage versus time graph. This frequency is often measured using something called hertz, which refers to the number of wave cycles within 1 second. Now, going back to oscillators,
And you see the frequency, like it's a frequency coming from this device or streaming on it, like, but people don't be want to take that into consideration, like the voices that the words that we say have power to it, literally, like things that we hear have a frequency coming in and out of it. Like, I don't know, it's in everything. That's why another reason why I'm playing videos like this, just to bring in the connection to it. That's it. Fair use. I just showed y'all who this is. I'm gonna try to link a lot of this stuff in the comments. If not, please forgive me.
there are two different types of oscillators, sinusoidal and non-sinusoidal oscillators. Sinusoidal or harmonic oscillators provide more natural looking sine-like waves. Such oscillators typically range from 20 Hz all the way up to 1 GHz. Diving a bit deeper, we actually have two different types of sinusoidal waves. There's a damped and undamped waves. Now, undamped waves look something like this, where the amplitude or the height of your wave signal stays the same, whereas damped wave signals look something like this, where the amplitude or the height of the wave becomes shorter as time goes on due to some power loss. Now let's go back to the two different types of oscillators. Remember there was a sinusoidal oscillator? Well, there are also non-sinusoidal oscillators, also known as relaxation oscillators. These non-sinusoidal oscillators create waves that look like triangular waveforms, square or rectangular waveforms, or even sawtooth waveforms. Such oscillators typically have frequencies ranging from 0 Hz all the way up to 20 MHz. Next, let's talk about how oscillators are used in different circuits. We'll start with the LC or RF oscillator configuration that gets its name from the capacitor and inductor used. These oscillators are known for very high frequency waves. These oscillators are often used in radio receivers, where you can tune these oscillators to selectively amplify the frequency that you want to listen to without much noise from other frequencies. This tuning can be done by adjusting either the inductor or the capacitor within this oscillator circuit. Next, we have the RC oscillators that are created using resistors and capacitors, and these oscillators, unlike LC oscillators, create low frequency waves. These oscillators are often called audio frequency oscillators due to their ability to generate audio frequency signals. Next, we have the negative resistance oscillators that use the negative resistance characteristics of its electronics devices, such as tunnel devices. We also have the UJT relaxation oscillators that use both capacitors and resistors to create those sawtooth waveforms that we were talking about earlier. Next, we have the common crystal oscillators that use quartz crystals to generate very stable frequencies up to 10 MHz. A cool alternative to the crystal oscillator is a MEMS oscillator, which is basically a microscopic tuning fork that's used to create these oscillating frequencies. As a cool fact, some iPhone models actually use this MEMS oscillator, and if you've seen the recent news articles, this is the very reason why recent iPhone models have failed in a very helium-rich environment, because these MEMS oscillators
But that's what I mean. Like, it's crazy. Another thing is the frequencies that they just show. Like, it's crazy how we can have devices that literally read music notes in a wave format. It's very interesting. It blows my mind every day. And it's one thing for people to for us to write sheet music and then compositions and stuff, but to like do that, put that on the on to see what it look like, sound like, is literally like reading music and painting pictures with it sonically. I don't know. Hopefully y'all enjoy. Everybody take it easy. I'm probably try to be back on later. Probably stream the game. So I need to get back on this. Trying to get my subs up and streams up and network. But if you made it this far, I love you. I appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way in if you new. Sub up. Peace. I'm gonna let my music play for a little minute before I log out. Yeah.
pocket full of dinero beats.